We've all been told, toughen up, push through, be strong. But toughness isn't resilience, it's a brittle imitation. What doesn't bend eventually breaks. Consider this. According to the American Psychological Association, resilience isn't about soldiering on. It's about adapting well in the face of adversity. Adaptation looks very different from simply grinding harder. Most of us mistake resilience for grit. We envision unbreakable willpower, hustle culture, or the smile that hides exhaustion. But grit without flexibility is just stubbornness in disguise. It's armor that keeps the world out and often locks us inside. Research from Yale's Center for Emotional Intelligence shows that ignoring emotions actually lowers our capacity to adapt. In other words, toughness can backfire. True resilience isn't about never breaking. It's about bending and recovering. It's the bamboo swaying with the wind, not the tree that snaps in the storm. Resilience is emotional literacy, naming feelings instead of denying them. It's setting boundaries, protecting our energy before burnout strikes. It's connection, because people who recover fastest are those with support systems, not those who go it alone. Think of José Andrés, the chef who founded World Central Kitchen. His resilience wasn't about stoically enduring disasters. It was about responding with creativity and compassion, mobilizing food relief in hurricanes, wars, and earthquakes. He showed how community action turns crisis into renewal. And it's not only individuals. After the 2011 earthquake and tsunami in Japan, entire towns rebuilt by weaving tighter community bonds. Neighbors organized shared kitchens, childcare, and recovery circles. This proved that resilience grows strongest at the collective level, where solidarity turns devastation into rebuilding power. Research published in The Lancet after the disaster found that communities with higher social cohesion recovered faster. They experienced lower rates of post-traumatic stress and stronger long-term well-being than less connected towns. So how do we practice real resilience? Here's a fuller toolkit. First, spot the fault lines. The most common breakdowns happen when we deny stress until collapse. Studies in the Journal of Consulting and Clinical Psychology show that emotional suppression is linked to higher physiological stress and increased risk of depression. We also break down when we say yes to everything. Data from the American Institute of Stress highlights that chronic overcommitment is one of the strongest drivers of workplace burnout. Another fault line is isolating when we most need connection. Research from the National Academies of Sciences on social isolation found that loneliness increases the risk of premature death by 26% and undermines emotional resilience during crises. Finally, we confuse constant busyness with progress. Studies from Stanford University on multitasking reveal that chronic busyness actually reduces productivity and impairs memory. Harvard Business Review reports that overwork is strongly correlated with mistakes, burnout, and lower long-term effectiveness. Research in the Journal of Occupational Health Psychology further shows that unacknowledged stress and overcommitment are top predictors of burnout and mental health decline. Next, name and frame. When you can label what you feel, anxiety, grief, overwhelm, you shift from chaos to clarity. Neuroscientists call this affect labeling. It literally calms the amygdala. UCLA studies demonstrate that simply naming emotions reduces physiological stress responses. Practice micro-recovery rituals. 10 deep breaths, a short walk, journaling for 5 minutes. These small resets build long-term adaptability. Data from Stanford's Center for Compassion and Altruism research shows that micro-practices of mindfulness improve both stress regulation and cognitive flexibility. Anchor in values. When the ground shifts, values are your compass. Ask, what matters most right now? This prevents panic-driven choices. Research on post-traumatic growth highlights that people who align with core values experience higher resilience and meaning after crisis. Build your net. Resilience is collective. Find your 3 people, friends, mentors, colleagues, who you can lean on without shame. Harvard's longest-running study on adult development shows that close relationships are the single strongest predictor of resilience and well-being across decades. Finally, redesign the system. Don't just patch the cracks. If your environment constantly drives burnout, rethink the system. Organizational research from Gallup confirms that workplaces with healthier boundaries and supportive cultures have far lower burnout and turnover. Resilience isn't surviving dysfunction, it's courageously reshaping it. Toughness breaks, resilience bends and rebuilds. It's not about gritting your teeth through crisis. It's about knowing yourself, protecting your energy, and leaning on others. In fact, longitudinal data from the American Psychological Association shows that resilience, not raw toughness, is a stronger predictor of long-term success and health. A World Health Organization review on stress prevention confirms that adaptive coping and social support drastically improve recovery after adversity. In an age of uncertainty, we don't need more lone warriors. We need networks of bamboo, flexible, rooted, and unbreakable together. If this gave you a clearer picture of resilience, share it with someone still stuck in tough it out mode. Resilience isn't armor, it's architecture. And it's how we rebuild when the ground shifts.